I'm not a lawyer, but the Karen Reed trial has started, and I am all in. Let me tell you about it. Okay, so if you don't know, Karen Reed is a 45-year-old woman accused of hitting her Boston police officer boyfriend, John Okeefe, with her SUV and leaving him to die in the middle of a snowstorm in Boston back in January of 2022. Now, if you're completely unaware of this story and need a full recap, you have to check out my other Karen Reed videos because I did a full recap a few months ago. Go watch those and get caught up. Okay, so opening statements in the case were on Monday, and here's a clip of how her defense team started their opening off.
Karen Reed was framed. Her car never struck John Okeefe. She did not cause his death, and that means that somebody else did. You will learn that it was no accident that John Okeefe was found dead on the front lawn of 34 Fairview Road in Canton on January 29th of 2022. You will learn that at that address lived a well-known and well-connected law enforcement family in Canton, the Alberts. Because the Alberts were involved, and because they had close connections to the investigators in this case, Karen Reed was framed for a murder she did not commit. Good morning again, ladies and gentlemen. As I previously told you, my name is David Yannetti. I'm an attorney with an office in Boston. Together with attorneys Alan Jackson and Elizabeth Little, it is truly my privilege and my honor to represent Karen Reed during this trial.
Wow. All right, so let's dive into day one of the trial. The first person called to the stand is John Okeefe's brother, whose name is Paul Okeefe. Did you follow that? John Okeefe is the boyfriend who was unalived, and Paul Okeefe is his brother. On the stand, Paul testifies about the makeup of the Okeefe family, as well as how John Okeefe came to be the legal guardian over his niece and nephews. Just watch.
My father is John, mother is Margaret, my sister Kristen, and brother John. So after my sister had passed away in 2013, her husband passed away 2 months after that. My brother he took on responsibility of raising our niece and nephew. And so the Boston police, to ensure that he was safe and protected, moved him to that unit in 2014. She had an aggressive brain tumor, which is called glioblastoma. Yes, 2 children, Kaylee and Patrick. Kaylee is 16 and Patrick is 13. My brother stepped in, moved into the house in Canton and raised them for 8 years. He was made a legal guardian.
And then Paul talks about the last time that he spoke with his brother, John Okeefe, which leads into how he found out what happened to his brother.
A big snowstorm hit the area, and we said, maybe it's probably better if we just stay home and off the roads. So we kind of canceled getting together the day before. My last communication with him was on a group text exchange that included myself, Karen Reed, and my mother. And he was excited because our niece Kaylee had gotten accepted to Bishop Fee in high school. So he was happy, proud dad moment. And then Patrick's national math scores came back, and he scored extremely high. So he was extremely proud of Patrick that day as well. Yes, my mother called me at 6:40 a.m. She called and just said, something happened to your brother. They found him in the snow, and they took him to the hospital. While I was at the hospital, my cousin works 911 dispatch, so she came down because she had heard. And the only thing I was able to get was that, he was cold and they needed to warm him up. But didn't have much information other than that. Parents arrived. They brought us, in the double doors into like a little family sitting room. So we were in that waiting room Doctor and nurse came in and told us that all their efforts to save my brother were unsuccessful and that he had passed away. And then asked if we wanted to go see him, in which we said yes. So we left that room and walked down the hallway to his hospital room. So I noticed Karen Reed was there. She was being restrained by hospital employees, and she was, screaming out to us, asking if he was alive. I mean, he was pretty banged up. He had his eyes had swelled up. He had a breathing tube in, or the mask anyway. Blood come down his nose, blood come down his mouth. But what really stood out to me was, the eyes. It was almost as if like there were ping pong balls under his eyelids. They were that swollen. He had markings on his right arm. I didn't notice anything on the other side. We went back to the waiting area. Again, we saw Karen Reed being restrained by hospital employees, screaming the same things: "Is he alive? Is he alive? Is he alive?" I actually blew her a kiss. Thought we had a good relationship. I held her in very high regard. I thought she was a good influence on my niece and nephew. I appreciated all the help that she was providing to my brother with the kids. We'd go out together as, couples a couple times. She was became very friendly with my wife, but I'd say overall we had a good relationship. So yes, we left. My mother drove with me. My father drove with Kerry Roberts. We went from the hospital at Good Samaritan in Brockton back to my brother's house in Canton. Karen Reed called me, asked me if it was okay to come over and to see the kids, and I said sure. She arrived at the house, shortly thereafter. That's my brother's house at 1 Meadows Ave in Canton.
And as far as the Ring doorbell camera that you were referring to, is that something that's visible in this photograph?
Not in that photograph, no.
And so typically when you would come over to your brother's house,
The driveway would be to the right side of the house as we're viewing it from here. So that would be the driveway, right side of the house, 2 garage doors, the upstairs window, and the Ring camera/floodlight combination. It looks like Karen Reed's vehicle, my brother's vehicle, and it looks like another SUV behind it. That would be in the morning coming back from the hospital, mid-morning. Yeah, it appeared to be Karen Reed and her father. That's Karen Reed. Looks like some type of a bag.
Once direct examination wraps for Paul, Karen Reed's defense team say they have no questions for Paul and he is excused. So the next witness is called, and that is Erin Okeefe, who is Paul Okeefe's wife. Much of her testimony is similar to Paul's, but a few things I want to highlight include her relationship with Karen, as well as a fight that she says Karen and John had in Aruba.
I liked her a lot.
Which Paul Okeefe also talked about in his testimony.
Yes, and we talked quite often. We were in Aruba for my mother's birthday. My mother, father, sister, husband, and our 2 girls. They were also in Aruba. We weren't close. You'd need a cab. It was not the other side of the island, but far enough away you'd need to catch a cab. They were with a large group of people. We were trying to arrange and see if there was a time we could get together. She did. It wasn't until later in the evening that she had caught Johnny kissing Laura's sister in the lobby of the hotel. Just that they got into an argument about it. I responded and said, like, kissing? And I don't recall what her response was, but I had missed the next text. She said did I want to meet up? She had freshened up and did I want to meet up? But I had missed it and was either already going to bed or just missed it until the next day.
Erin also gave her account of what happened the day John was found outside in the cold.
I woke up to my husband on the phone with his mother saying he's going to be okay, he's going to be okay. They got off the phone and I said, what happened? What's going on? And he said they found Johnny in the snow this morning. He's pacing around and he goes to the bathroom to brush his teeth because he said that he was going to drive to the hospital. When Paul was brushing his teeth, I said to him, where's Karen? Where is she? Is she okay? And I called her and I could hear the phone pick up and she didn't say hello. I just said, Karen, what the hell is going on? And she just yelled back in the phone, John's dead. And Kerry Roberts grabbed the phone from her and said, no, he's not. He's at the hospital. They're working on him. I asked her, I said, what the hell happened last night? I couldn't understand first how they were together, if they had been arguing earlier in the day. And she told me that they were out, that she dropped him at a party afterwards, didn't feel like going, so dropped him and went back to Canton. She said she went back to Canton and I think woke up around 4:30 and couldn't find him, and woke up Kaylee to see if Kaylee had heard from him at all. She said that she went to go out and look, but the roads were bad, so went back and called Kerry and Jen so that they could drive together. She told me that she had to remember the bad times, which struck me as an odd comment to say, but I assumed since she was at the hospital that maybe she was medicated, but it just struck me as something odd. She said, I don't think I'm ever going to see you guys again. And I said, of course you will. We're friends.
Karen's defense team again says they have no questions for Erin, so she is excused. And then the first person from law enforcement is called to the stand. His name is Steve Saraf, or Saraf, I can't remember. And he was the first responding officer to the scene. Here's what he had to say.
Well, as I got to my destination, I saw 3 people on the lawn in the snow, waving at me. Later learned there was a male subject on the ground.
Prior to this dispatch, did you know John Okeefe in any way?
No, I walked over to the scene. I first asked, is this person a drug user? Does he have an issue with drugs? Somebody said no, he's a Boston police officer. I said okay. I checked for a pulse. I couldn't find a pulse. Then I went back to my cruiser and tried to find the AED, which is an automated external defibrillator. I couldn't find any pulse or anything like that, and he was cold to the touch.
So if you're standing on the street facing the house, was Mr. O'Keefe more to the center of the property, the right of the property, or the left?
He was on the left of the property, yes. To the left of the property, there was a fire hydrant, a bush, and a flagpole, I believe. When I arrived, I saw Miss Reed looked like she was giving CPR to him, and she had blood on her face. Miss Reed was visibly upset. She kept saying, this is all my fault, this is my fault, I did this. And she was very hysterical.
And
She kept asking, he's dead, is he dead, is he dead? It was light out, so I want to say maybe 7 o'clock-ish. The conditions lightened up a little bit. I mean, it was still snowing.
this photograph in exhibit number 8, sir, where Mr. O'Keefe's body was when you first arrived, is that visible in this photograph or no?
I would say it would be over more to the left.
Okay, so further off to the left, is that correct?
That's correct.
You were testifying earlier about sort of footprints in and around where Mr. O'Keefe was, is that correct?
That is correct.
And what's depicted on the screen in exhibit number 14, is that fair and accurate portrayal of the footprints that you were talking about?
Yes. So there's the flagpole right there, there's a bush there, and right there, I believe, is the fire hydrant.
And so where in relation to this photograph, if you can see it here, was Mr. O'Keefe's body when you first arrived?
It's right in this area right here. Right about now, I believe I put the spotlight on. So here's the vehicle right there, and the females are right there.
Just one moment, Your Honor.
Sure.
Once the prosecutors wrapped their questions with Steve, the defense team said they definitely have some questions for Steve. The judge recesses court for the day. And so cross-examination begins on day 2. Are y'all keeping up with this one? I'll be talking about this trial on my podcast, so check it out on my YouTube channel or wherever podcasts are found.